The coffee shop on Fifth Avenue hummed with its usual afternoon rhythm. Steam rose from ceramic cups while conversations blended into a comfortable murmur. Sarah Chen sat in the corner booth, her laptop open, but her attention wandering to the rain streaking down the window. Her bank account showed $43.16. The rent notice in her purse demanded $800 by Friday. She stirred her coffee slowly, watching the cream swirl into patterns that reminded her of clouds. 2 years out of college, and she was still waiting for her life to begin. The marketing degree on her wall felt more like expensive wallpaper with each passing day. Her phone buzzed with another rejection email. "Thank you for your interest, but we've decided to move forward with other candidates." Sarah closed her laptop with a gentle click. The afternoon light filtered through the windows, casting everything in a soft, golden glow. She loved this coffee shop for its quiet corners and the way the barista, Miguel, always remembered her order. It felt like a safe harbor in a city that often seemed too big and too fast. "Excuse me." The voice was deep, uncertain. "Would you mind if I sat here for a moment?" Sarah looked up to see a man, about her age, maybe 30, with dark hair that looked like he'd been running his hands through it. His expensive suit couldn't hide the tension in his shoulders or the worried crease between his eyebrows. The coffee shop had plenty of empty tables, but something in his expression made her gesture to the seat across from her. "Of course," she said softly. He sat down carefully, as if the chair might break. His hands, Sarah noticed, were shaking slightly as he placed them on the table. "I'm Marcus," he said. "Marcus Williams. Sarah Chen." She studied his face, noting the way his eyes kept darting toward the window, then back to her. "Are you okay? You seem ... nervous." Marcus let out a shaky breath. "This is going to sound completely insane, but I need to ask you something. And I promise I'm not crazy, even though what I'm about to say will make you think I am." Sarah tilted her head, curious now rather than concerned. There was something genuine about his nervousness, something that told her he wasn't dangerous, just desperate. "My family," Marcus began, his voice growing steadier. "They own Williams Industries. Maybe you've heard of it." Sarah nodded slowly. Everyone in the city knew Williams Industries. The name was on half the buildings downtown. "My father is ... traditional, old-fashioned. He's been pressuring me to settle down, get married, produce an heir." Marcus's laugh held no humor. "He's arranged for me to meet someone today. A business merger disguised as a date. Her father owns a shipping company my dad wants to acquire." The rain continued its gentle percussion against the window. Sarah found herself leaning forward, drawn into Marcus's story despite herself. She'll be here any minute," Marcus continued. "Along with both our fathers. They're expecting to find me with my current girlfriend. The problem is, I don't have one. I've been so focused on work, on trying to prove myself worthy of the family business, that I haven't had time for real relationships." Sarah's coffee grew cold as she listened. Something about Marcus's vulnerability. The way he spoke about his life, like it was a cage, resonated with her own feelings of being trapped by circumstances. "I know this is crazy," Marcus said, his eyes meeting hers directly for the first time. "But would you be willing to pretend to be my girlfriend? For 5 minutes. Long enough for them to see I'm happy, that I'm with someone I chose myself. I'll pay you $1,000. The number hung in the air between them. $1,000 would solve her rent problem and buy her groceries for a month. But something else made her consider it. The genuine desperation in Marcus's voice. The way he seemed as trapped as she felt, just in a different kind of cage. "Why me?" Sarah asked quietly. Marcus looked at her for a long moment. "Because you have kind eyes," he said simply. "And because when I walked in here, feeling like I was drowning, you were the only person who looked like she might understand." Outside, a black car pulled up to the curb. Marcus tensed, his knuckles going white as he gripped the edge of the table. "That's them," he whispered. Sarah made her decision in that instant, not for the money, but for the shared understanding she saw in Marcus's eyes. "Okay," she said softly, "but we need to make this believable." Relief flooded Marcus's face. "How do we do that? Tell me something real about yourself. Something that matters to you." Marcus paused, thinking. "I wanted to be a teacher," he said. "Before all this, I studied literature in college. I love the way stories can change people, the way they can make you feel less alone." Sarah smiled, the first genuine smile she'd felt all day. "I wanted to be a writer," she said. "I still do, actually. I keep a journal, write stories that no one will ever read." The coffee shop door chimed as 3 people entered. An older man, who was clearly Marcus's father, sharing the same dark hair and strong jawline. A distinguished gentleman in an expensive coat, and a young woman who looked like she'd stepped out of a fashion magazine. Marcus reached across the table and took Sarah's hand. His palm was warm, slightly rough. "Thank you," he whispered. "Marcus." The older man's voice carried across the coffee shop. "There you are."
Sarah felt Marcus's fingers tighten around hers as they approached. She looked up at him, trying to project the kind of affection that would seem natural, and was surprised to find it wasn't difficult. There was something genuinely likable about Marcus Williams, something that went deeper than his obvious wealth. "Dad," Marcus said, standing but not releasing Sarah's hand, "I'd like you to meet Sarah. Sarah, this is my father, Robert Williams." Robert Williams looked like a man accustomed to getting his way. His eyes swept over Sarah, taking in her simple sweater and modest jewelry, her student loan haircut and clearance rack shoes. Sarah felt herself being measured and, she suspected, found wanting. And this is Harold Blackwood, Robert continued, and his daughter Victoria. Victoria Blackwood was everything Sarah wasn't: tall, blonde, elegantly dressed, and wearing the kind of confidence that came from never having to worry about rent money. She extended a perfectly manicured hand to Sarah with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "How lovely to meet you," Victoria said, her tone suggesting it was anything but. "Sarah and I were just discussing our weekend plans," Marcus said, his thumb tracing gentle circles on Sarah's hand. "We're thinking of visiting that little bookshop in Brooklyn you recommended, Sarah." Sarah blinked, then played along. "The one with the poetry readings," she added. Marcus loves poetry. Something shifted in Robert Williams's expression. He looked at his son with what might have been surprise, or perhaps disappointment. "Poetry?" Robert repeated flatly. "Dad, we should probably—" Marcus began, but Sarah interrupted him. "Actually," she said, her voice growing stronger, "Marcus was just telling me about this beautiful passage he read yesterday from Pablo Neruda. About how love arrives without warning, how it chooses us rather than the other way around." The words came from somewhere deep inside her, from the part that wrote stories late at night and believed in the power of beautiful words. Marcus stared at her, and she saw something kindle in his eyes, not just gratitude, but recognition. "Love is so short, forgetting is so long," Marcus said softly, completing the quote. The moment stretched between them, and Sarah realized they weren't pretending anymore. Something real was happening in this small space, in this brief encounter between strangers who understood each other's loneliness. Robert Williams cleared his throat. "Well," he said, his voice careful, "we should let you two get back to your poetry." As the three visitors left the coffee shop, Sarah and Marcus remained seated, hands still entwined across the table. The afternoon light had shifted, casting longer shadows across the floor. "That was more than 5 minutes," Sarah said finally. "Yeah," Marcus agreed. "It was—" He reached into his jacket and pulled out an envelope, but Sarah shook her head. "Keep it," she said. "Use it to buy some poetry books." Marcus smiled, and it transformed his entire face. "Would you like to go to that bookshop in Brooklyn? For real this time?" Sarah thought about her empty apartment, her rejection emails, her dwindling bank account. Then she looked at Marcus, really looked at him, and saw not a millionaire's son, but someone who understood what it meant to feel trapped, someone who found beauty in words and stories. "I'd like that," she said, "but I have one condition." "Anything." "Next time we do this, we do it because we want to, not because we have to." Marcus's smile widened. "Deal." Outside, the rain had stopped, and the late afternoon sun was breaking through the clouds, painting everything in shades of gold and possibility. Sarah gathered her things slowly, in no hurry to leave this moment, this unexpected turn her day had taken. As they walked toward the door together, Marcus paused. "Sarah? Thank you, not just for the 5 minutes, but for understanding." "Thank you," she replied, "for reminding me that sometimes the best stories are the ones we don't see coming." The coffee shop door chimed as they stepped out into the city that suddenly seemed a little less overwhelming, a little more full of possibility. Behind them, Miguel the barista smiled as he cleared their table, wondering if he'd just witnessed the beginning of something beautiful. Sometimes, Sarah thought as they walked down Fifth Avenue together, 5 minutes can change everything.